Take a deep breath and concentrate. Dictation will begin in 15 seconds. Get ready. Start. The measure before the house is intended to remove some grave deficiencies in our arrangements for the training of technical personnel at any time in any country. It would be a matter of very great importance that for the functioning of its industries there should be technical personnel of satisfactory quality and in adequate numbers. For India, at this stage of her economic development, when the country is making the maximum effort for rapid industrialization with a view to achieving what we call self sustaining progress, there is nothing more important among the requisites for the success of our plans than this one factor of the availability of suitably trained personnel in sufficient numbers. This deficiency has persisted for some time. It has been brought to our notice by several committees that we should try to persuade the employers to make arrangements for the training of apprentices. The committee, of course, touches the question of institutional training also. Defects are to be removed in the case of both kinds of training, which institutional training and apprentice training. Regarding institutional training, in the course of past 10 years, we have succeeded in making adequate arrangements. We had the experience in the course of the 10th plan, and also I should say the second plan of shortage of technical personnel of various grades for certain industries. Therefore, we set up institutions and training centers in order to make up that deficiency, and now we are in a happier situation in respect of many categories of trained personnel. We have now adequate arrangements for training. In the case of craftsmen, to whom this measure refers primarily, I may just give some recent figure. At the beginning of the 11th 5-year plan, we had facilities at the training centers of the Ministry of Employment and Labor for training only about 10,000 persons, and now at the end of the second 5-year plan the figure has arisen to 42,000. We have projected various steps which will enable us to take this figure up to 1 lakh at the end of 12th plan. Similarly, in the matter of technical education of higher grades also, the requisite facilities are being provided so that we do not anticipate any serious difficulty there. But obviously, training in institutions is incomplete without a certain period of what is called in planned instruction, which is very necessary.
For more than 3 decades, India has figured on the technology control radar screens of the advanced nations. Happily, attempts of technology denial have not been without benefits because they have spurred our scientists to further strengthen our national capability. This has reinforced our belief in the maxim that strength respects strength. In this content, I must compliment our nuclear scientists. Their achievements at Pokhran have titled the entire Indian scientific community with self confidence. The second important task before our scientific establishment is that it must get refocused on problem solving, especially meeting the felt needs of our industry, agriculture, and services. For example, our farm production needs to grow at least by 5% a year. This is necessary if we have to reach the goal of creating a hunger free society by doubling our food production in the next 10 years. Our agriculture scientists have many commendable successes to their credit, but they need to redouble their efforts to integrate our Kisan community in the generation, dissemination, and application of knowledge in agricultural sciences. Similarly, our food scientists need to develop cost effective technologies to tackle the problem of enormous waste of fruits, vegetables, and food grains. Food security, water management, energy and material conservation, low cost housing, environment and protection, maximizing our efforts by achieving cost and quality competitiveness in world markets, high quality technical education leading to self employment opportunities. All these are crucial for our national development. In all these areas, our scientific institutions should forge clear collaborative ties with industry, agriculture, and services that has not been the case so far. Thirdly, for creating world class scientific research, it is obvious to the distinguished audience here that our universities, R&D institutions, and institutes of higher learning must be freed from bureaucratization. Our students, teachers, and scientists should spend more time on creative research than on unproductive and needless red tapeism. I would like the Science Congress and all the allied institutions to come up with an action plan on this issue and implement it in a visible manner. The fourth most important task before us is to train our children and young generation in a spirit of scientific inquiry. The study of science, in fact, the study of most subjects in our Schools and colleges suffer badly from learning by rote. Our students are not encouraged to think freely and creatively here. Looking to the future, India has to concentrate on two knowledge based sciences and their widest possible applications. One of them is information technology. My government has taken a number of initiatives aimed at enabling India to become a major global IT power with software exports targeted at $50 billion by year 2008. The second knowledge based area that needs even more attention is biosciences and biotechnology. I am happy to note that this subject is the focus of this year's Science Congress. My government's emphasis on IT stems from my firm belief about the supremacy of India's intellectual powers. However, India will have an immense opportunity if we add to IT the advantage of our rich biodiversity and traditional knowledge. Another multi billion dollar opportunity with a simultaneous impact on the health of our population will open up then international market for herbal and biotech products in early parts of the next century is estimated to reach billions of dollars, and India should have a sizable share of this in view of our rich bioresources. I understand that the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research and the Department of Biotechnology have mounted a focused program which has brought together 20 of the CSER laboratories with the well known practitioners of traditional systems of medicine and research workers from other scientific institutions under one roof. I want to congratulate both the CSER and the Department of Biotechnology since this is precisely the Team India spirit that I had emphasized during the Santi Swarup Bhatnagar Awards ceremony. Such a program should not be confined to health care issues of only tropical areas but also those pertinent to the rest of the world like AIDS, Parkinson's disease, arthritis, brain disorders, various cases of cancer, etc. I suggest that the good beginning made by Caesar should be followed with the multiples of such programs with a very wide Indian knowledge network. This is a last session of the Science Congress in this century. But the time you assemble on the same day next year, it will be the first gathering of the Science Congress in the 21st century. It is only appropriate that we use the ensuing 1 year to infuse new dynamism in India scientific research and education. In this endeavor, our scientists cannot be unmindful of a peculiar challenge before global science in the coming century and millennium. It is the challenge of integrating the knowledge of man's outer space, that is science, with the knowledge of this inner space, that is spiritualism, which are very much connected. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, I rise to lend support to the resolution moved by my friend with a full throated voice. It is very correct that the present legal system of India is not an effective instrument of social change, as it is not a very effective instrument of social change. Naturally, it cannot provide socio-economic justice to the weaker sections of people, to the underprivileged people who form the majority in India. Sir, we all know that the old order changes yielding place to new. Change is the only unchanging thing in this constantly changing universe. It is not a very happy thing that although we attained independence in 1947, till today we are guided by Anglo Saxon jurisprudence. We all know that India is a socialist country, and the goal of socialism has also been embedded in our constitution. Can you achieve this socialistic goal through the present legal system? This is my question. I am sure none can give an affirmative answer. It is a very common complaint among the poor sections of the people of India, the downtrodden masses, the toiling masses, the people who cannot pay for costly litigation, that they are very sacred of going to the court. First, they are ignorant, they have no money, they are very poor. The court of law for them is a sort of jigsaw puzzle. Whenever they go to a court to fight out a case for the redressal of their grievances, they always have the psychological fear. What is that fear? What is the use of going to the court? If I go to the court for fight over a case, it will take 3 years to 10 years or maybe 20 years, who knows. So, this inordinate delay in the dispensation of justice is a great hurdle for the poor people who cannot fight out costly cases. And even when they go to the court, the poorer sections of people have to pay exorbitant fees to the lawyers. In the process, they lose all their poverty, lock, stock, and barrel, and whatever they already have. There is very interesting story. Two people were fighting out a case in the court over land. They had been paying fees to the lawyers for a long time. If a man gets justice after 20 years, what is the use of this? Now, as far back as 1928, Pandit Motilal Nehru laid great emphasis on judicial reforms, and in the 50s also of the chip, the old bloc, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru harped on the same string. Now when people go to the court day after day, they have to wait. And why? Because some of the people do not know the actual procedures. Some people are afraid of going to the court, and poor people have got a sort of sentiment that these courts are meant for the rich people, for the affluent section of the society, for people with rest and fortune, and it is not meant for the poor. If we introduce these sort of judicial reforms by appointing a commission by which this sort of misgivings and apprehensions are utterly removed from the minds of the poor people of India, the earlier is done, the better it is for the country. Now, when we speak in terms of separation of powers of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, all the pundits and all the scholars take part in this short discussion and debates, and all of them lay great emphasis on the separation of the judiciary from the other two. There is a great reason behind it. It is very important to know that the judiciary must be kept separate from the executive and the legislature. But the judiciary must be free, not in words, but in reality. The judiciary has got to be free. Now, our beloved Prime Minister has introduced the one new program. There are many schemes under this program, and I have found that under this one new program, lands have been distributed free to the landless people. But what happened the moment the Janta regime came? All the landlords came, swooped on them, and took away the lands, and those poor people did not get any justice anywhere. So, if justice remains just on paper, if justice is not carried into the field to the poor people of our country, what the value of this justice? I don't find any meaning in it. So, justice has got to be made effective, substantial, and cheap, and its dispensation must be very, very fast. Now, I have gathered this knowledge that the National Law School of Bangalore has recommended that the law course should be for 5 years. I do not understand the reason behind it. 5 years is a very long time, and most of the poor parents cannot afford to defray the educational expenses of their sons and daughters who will have to pursue their studies for 5 long years. Stop.